All right, we're recording. Welcome everyone to Module 2 for concert touring. Today we're going to talk about touring revenue streams. Also, a quick note, when I sent my message, I think it was on Monday or Sunday, days are blending together, but I, for some reason, thought we were a week behind. We're actually not behind. So just a class got rescheduled for a couple of days later. So sorry for having rescheduled. Just that's the nature of the touring business, right? Where stuff's constantly coming up and shows need to be covered and worked. So classes might change, but I try to not change them as much as possible and try to stick with the schedule that's on the syllabus. But anywho, the quiz will be available on Monday. I said it'll be available after lecture. Actually, I have a little bit of time since we are on schedule. So the quiz will be available Monday, and will be due the following Sunday. But real quick, before quizzes and all that, question as always, which shows did you see this week? So if you're watching the recording of the lecture, if you want some extra credit on your quiz, leave a comment of what shows you saw. And if you want some additional extra credit, then comment on someone else's comment, trying to get some engagement going within the class and get y'all to engage with each other online at least, and hopefully in person, because your best network is your fellow classmates. So it's important to know all the people within your class, because you never know what they're going to be in the music business, right? So quiz 2, as I mentioned, will be available on Monday. But if you want to start prepping for quiz 2, so those of you having for music business 1, we did the deals and settlements. This time, again, another review of deals and settlements. This time will be the big one, the promoter profit deal. So if you're watching the recording, or for those two of you that are here live, I know Joyceline's familiar with the promoter profit deal. I'm not sure, Darian, if you had me in music business too, but definitely, if you are not familiar with promoter profit, or you didn't do well in music business too, start reviewing that ASAP. I'm gonna make a note to send out some practice problems in a second. So send practice. This is the hard one. This is the deal that's a little convoluted. It's what I call the quadratic equation of the music business, where an artist gets a guarantee, but then they have an opportunity to make a bonus after all kinds of expenses and promoter profit and so on. And then we'll recap from music business 2, and then we'll start expanding from that, which I'm excited about. That's some really cool things up my sleeve. We're gonna talk about VIP a little bit today, and then your next quiz will basically include VIP lifts on your settlements, and then we'll get into some forecasting and creating offers. Another type of deal I'm gonna throw at you that we haven't seen yet, and then we'll start getting into settlement sheets and all that stuff later on in the class. This is a class I'm excited about. This is what I do every single day for AEG. And you guys are kind of like my guinea pig class. First one teaching concert touring. So it should be fun. We're going to have a lot of fun with this class. Anyway, quiz 2 will be available Monday, and it's due the following Sunday, okay? So let's get started. So let's look at artist revenue streams. So what are all the different ways that artists can make money while they're touring? So the first one, of course, the guarantees and percentages, right? So we looked at the different types of deals. We know how guarantees work now. You should be familiar with how percentages work. So that's one of the main revenue streams, of course, that an artist makes money from touring. But as any business, it's always smart to have multiple revenue streams, and there's other ways artists can make money. So one of those is, of course, merchandise. It's also important to know the expenses that go in with each of these revenue streams, right? So for merch, of course, there's the cost of goods. So what did it cost to create the merch? So if you print a t-shirt, let's say the t-shirt costs you $10 to make, you usually want to mark up your cost of goods at least by double or triple of what you paid for it. So if you have these nice like soft t-shirts that everyone has now, they're usually about $10 a piece, depending how many you get. Selling for $20, you make $10 on a shirt, right? Also, of course, the more volume you get, the cheaper it's going to be. So if you order thousands of shirts, so if you're an arena artist and you're getting thousands of shirts, that obviously is going to drive the cost of goods down. But then the markup usually for these arena artists is insane. Usually when you go to an arena, see a show, it's like a $30 or $40 for a shirt that may have cost them like $4 to make. So pretty crazy how much the markup is on shirts. Also, other thing to keep in mind when it comes to merch, right? Music business one, we kind of really looked at your audience, knowing your audience and who your audience is. And I always say my wife has the cooler job, even though everyone wants to study music business and you guys want to be in the music business. People get most excited when I say she works at Urban Outfitters and runs a store. But it's a cool store. A lot of young people and college kids go to Urban Outfitters. But the reason I bring that up, when you know who your audience is, right, you should literally be able to go into a mall and know where your target audience shops. So if your target audience shops at Urban Outfitters, it's good to walk into one of those stores that wherever your audience would shop in a mall and look at like what kind of impulse buys they're trying to sell, right? So what is available near the register, like when you're about to check out and there's some impulse buys of things they are trying to sell you. What do you usually see there? And those are some good ideas also for additional merch items. You don't want to just do traditional t-shirt and maybe a hat. You want to try to offer some other smaller accessories that fans can buy. So these can be like bracelets, tote bags, anything, bandanas, lighters, koozies, whatever your audience would be into. So I had an artist that I used to manage. Her name's Emily Kopp. She now performs under the name Lowen and has I would say has a real manager now. But when she was touring, we had shirts, and then we're like, what else could we do, right? And we noticed a lot of people in her audience. They're like younger, like college kids, mostly female, and a lot of them had tote bags that they would take to yoga classes or to the grocery store, to shows, or when they just like go out with their friends somewhere casual. So we decided to make tote bags for one of her tours, and she sold out of tote bags. It was I think a 10-city tour, and she was sold out before the tour was over. We got just like 100 of them because it was just a test print, and sold out, which is really cool. Another thing you can do with merch is do like exclusive merch, right? Just have a limited print, like only 50 of these shirts available or only 50 of these hats are available, whatever. Also keep seasons in mind. So when it's like wintertime, like hoodies sell all the time. Hoodies, cool jackets. Just really figure out what your target audience will be into. And those would be some really good merch ideas. Then, of course, there's the VIP meet and greets and the VIP experiences. Those can get really elaborate, right? There's a lot of different things you can do with the VIP. So in next week's quiz, we'll start looking at VIP lifts. So let's say, for a quick example, let me see. Let me experiment a little bit. Let me break out the whiteboard. So let's just say you have a ticket, right? And that ticket is $25. Then the VIP ticket, so we call this the general admission ticket, it's $25. And then the VIP meet and greet, so M&G, if you ever see M&G, that's for meet and greet, is, call it $150, right? So there's a difference of $125 between the general ticket and the VIP meet and greet. So the VIP lift, oh, what just happened? There we go. VIP lift would be $125. So the face value of that $150 ticket is $25, and then $125 is the lift. So next week, for the quiz, if you had, for example, 100 tickets, right, that you sold at $25, that gives you $2,500. Is that $2,500? Yes, $2,500. Let me expand this a little bit. There we go. It's $2,500. And let's say you also sold 100 VIP at $150. At $150 or $125. I'm sorry, that's the price. That gives us, I'm gonna do this in my head, that should be $12,500, right? Am I right on that? So the face value within that is $2,500, right? So your GBOR, your gross box office receipts, are 15,000. But then you're going to deduct the VIP lift. So less VIP lift, which gives us only $5,000, right? So $5,000 is now your adjusted gross on those. So what happens with the lift? Usually, most of the times, 100% of that lift goes to the artist. They will keep all of that. So let me see if I can do this math. Can I? I guess I can't click back in. So lift equals, or VIP lift, let me be specific. Lift equals, what is that? 10,250? Am I doing that? No, wait, $10,000. All right, $10,000 is the VIP lift, right? So that normally goes to the 100% to the artist, but what venues started doing and promoters started doing, and this is like a new thing, like maybe, let me see, maybe 7-8 years ago, bands like started doing this on a consistent basis to have some kind of VIP experience. And now like every show, almost every show has some kind of VIP program. And what started happening, like the venues and promoters were like, why are you getting 100% of that money and we have to pay for security? You get to use our space for free, or we have to find a different space within the venue where you can hold your meet and greet. That's just not fair, right? So most agents will not, or managers, whatever, like people that represent the artist, will not allow to give up any percentage of the lift. So what promoters and venues started doing, they're like, okay, well then we're just going to charge you for the space. So now they have a fee for the space, right? So fees for VIP could include security, could include space itself, it could include box office. The reason box office, because having someone come in early to check in the VIPs, right? So those are the main really expenses that you can deduct. And security could be anywhere. So I usually have about 2 guards for those. So that could be about $200 for security. Let's say you charge $250 for the space, and then $100 to have a box office person there early, right? So that gives us like, what was that, $450, $550 that we're charging to the VIP. So the artist really gets $10,000 less the $550 with a VIP program. So that's kind of like how VIP lifts work on the business side. Let me go back to the slides. And then some of the things that artists offer on a VIP meet and greet, it's all different kinds of experiences. Most of them are just like a photo op, right? So they'll have like a backdrop. So real quick on this next picture or slide, you'll see this is Heather McMahon, the show I had last week. She has like a backdrop and then her fans line up. Her tour manager was just taking pictures, cell phone pictures with people's cell phones. Sometimes they'll have a professional photographer to come out that they hire, or they ask the venue if they can hire a professional photographer. So that'll be another expense that gets taken out of the VIP meet and greet lift. And they just take photos. And then there's like a link, if it's with a professional photographer, they'll give them a card on where they can get their pictures. Other things I've seen is acoustic sets, hang out with the band. Metallica does this meet and greet where you pay, I think it was $2,500, and they limited it to 10 people, where you get to hang out with the band for an hour before the show. So that was pretty cool. I've seen a lot of acoustic sets. So I did a show with Young the Giant. They did an acoustic set for their fans as the before, and then a Q&A. I've seen Q&As a lot. Then they have like smaller packages. So like a lot of times the meet and greets and the acoustic sets and Q&As will like the more expensive package. And then they'll have like other packages sometimes. So some packages will include like show specific posters, special merch, early entry, right? So if it's a standing room show, that's a cool benefit to have because you get to be the first one in and get a really good spot to see the show. Or if it's a seated show, it's preferred seating. So it's usually the first few rows go to the VIP program. Or some bands have even done like dinners. Like you get to have dinner with the artist at the venue ice cream parties, pizza parties. An artist I always talk about, Michael Franti, he does like a yoga class with his fans. So all different types of experiences that artists can create for their VIP experience. And that's a really giant revenue stream for artists to add that as an add-on on a ticket. And I've literally seen artists from the club level doing VIP programs. They may not sell a lot. They may like sell 5 to 10 tickets, but if you can get an extra $100 out of 10 tickets, that mostly goes in the artist's pocket. It's a really good thing to add. It's a really good way to engage with their fans. And of course, in the theaters, most artists do it, in arenas and so on. Most artists have some kind of VIP program. And the VIP programs don't always include meet and greets. You can have a VIP ticket that just includes like a good seat or a signed poster or early entry. I've seen artists do that as well, that really, usually artists that don't really want to like hang out and meet a bunch of fans before or after the show, that might be maybe a little more introverted or something. Sponsorships is another way for artists to make money, right? Having a tour sponsor, having an instrument sponsor. Those are ways you can make money. And then I put tour deals as well. So I don't know if you guys listened to that interview I did with Kelly Cap last couple weeks ago from Live Nation. But basically what companies like Live Nation and AEG will do, they'll book entire tours where the entire tour is with one promoter, and then there's tour bonuses. So if the tour does X amount and it sells X amount of tickets, so if the entire tour sells 90% of the tickets, then the artist gets bonuses. If it sells 95%, they get an additional bonus. If the entire tour sells out, then there's an additional bonus to that, right? Or there's a company called Messina Group, and they're owned by AEG. They do, who does Messina Group do? They definitely do Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran. Those are the main ones they do. They do Vance Joy, and then they have a few other tours that they work with. And they're one of those promoters that really cut in artists on every revenue stream. So an interesting fact, when Taylor Swift plays, she actually doesn't always have a guarantee where she's guaranteed money, but she gets a really high percentage, and she gets a percentage from everything. Every dollar that the touring company makes, Taylor Swift gets a percentage from that as well. And we'll look into some of the revenue streams for promoters and venues in just a second. And those are the main revenue streams for artists when it comes to touring. And of course, the merch includes music. If you sell CDs and vinyls and stuff at your merch table, those are other revenue streams as well. Real quick on the VIP programs. So there's some different companies that handle the VIP programs. CID Entertainment is the biggest one. Artist Arena is one, and Future Beat. Those are the 3 main VIP companies. And the reason I want to mention those ones, I always want to show opportunities for y'all to, for work and freelance work and to get jobs and start getting experience in the industry. So if you go on their websites, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go to CID. Actually, what? Let me see if my login still works. Give me 1 second, and then if this works, I'll share this with y'all. This one, and then cool, that worked. So let me share this real quick. So I used to work with CID before I started working with AEG, and how this works. So hopefully you can see this. This is an example. So CID Entertainment, right? They handled the VIP program for tours. So it's like one less thing that the artists and the tours have to deal with. And of course, they take a percentage from the VIP experiences, but they do like a lot of cool things. They get like local workers to manage the VIP. They create all the passes for the VIP program. So there's like a cool laminate that you get for the VIP program, or any kind of cool merch. They do handle all that. They'll get like the backdrops or any kind of cool decor to make the VIP experience like feel a little more special. I worked the one for Metallica, and they had like a Metallica museum, which was really cool. So you saw like really old memorabilia from Metallica and pictures and from tours and old guitars. They had Kirk Hammett's guitars there. You can play some of his guitars with his amps. They had Lars Ulrich's drum set there, so really cool. But if you were working for CID, for example, right? So this is all freelance work, which is really cool because if you're a student and you're in school full time, you have a main job, but you're trying to get experience in the music industry, this is a really good way to get experience. So what you would do, you would log in. So here I'm logged in. You have it's ambassadors.cidentertainment.com. That's where you can find an application too. To just browse jobs. I would browse by state, right? So hopefully, yep, Florida is here. So here's what they have coming up in Florida. And they usually do this about, I don't know, let's say a month out. They update this. So like when you work for them, that people usually check the site like once a day to see if new tours have been added. And it just tells you what is the position, right? So usually it's check-in staff. You're checking people in, and then it shows the event. So in real life 2019, I don't know what that is. That's at the Social in Orlando. That's a club. Maren Morris, and then Kip Moore. CID tends to work with a lot of country artists for their VIP program, and it just tells you what city they're in, it tells you the date, and it tells you the pay, right? And if you click on more, for example, it's over here from Maren Morris. This is from 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock, so 5 hours. You're getting paid $120 for 5 hours, so not bad, right? They do a lot of events in Miami and South Florida as well. Live Nation runs the amphitheater in West Palm, so there's a lot of country, and a lot of CID's artists are performing at that amphitheater. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities there for you guys to find some cool freelance work. So let's go back to the slides. And same thing with Artist Arena and Future Beat, right? Those are all also freelance work. So if you're looking to get experience, those are some good companies. You drink water real quick. And then some artists are like, you know what? I don't want to pay a VIP company to handle this, right? Because some artists will literally just do something as simple as in this picture, as Heather McMahon, where her tour manager takes all the photos and they just bought a backdrop, and then they carry it and set it up, and it's pretty simple. I think it was $100 meet and greet, and I think she sold 100 of them. So as you see, you can really good money that you can make on a meet and greet, right? So you don't have to get elaborate with crazy experiences. Of course, the cooler the experiences are, the more you can charge for them, and the more more your fans are going to want to keep doing it. But a lot of times for newer artists on their first big tours, doing just simple like this is totally fine. And a lot of artists where they're really extroverted and engaged with their artists, like Heather, for example, she had a conversation with every single person. So an artist like that could probably just get away with always having their meet and greet just like that, and keeping all the money for themselves, and then maybe pay the tour manager a little bit more for working the meet and greet, right? Or they might hire someone locally. So if they have a show in Miami, they might hire a person in Miami through the venue to help with the meet and greet. But then this way they keep more of the money. I went to CID's website. There's an example of VIP packages, right? So Metallica, for example, has a tour coming up in South America, and here's 4 different packages that they offer. So the first one's called the Wherever I May Roam package. This is the only one that had the price on it, but I didn't really click through, but it was $600, and gets your general admission ticket, early access to the GA field, and then dedicated venue entrance, and 1 personalized black ticket laminate to get a laminate. Wow, that's pretty high for that lower tier ticket. Then the next tier, they call the Dream No More experience. Let's see what this includes. It includes a general ticket to the Snake Pit, which for Metallica, they have this really cool thing where they built this part of their stage where you're basically inside the stage and you're surrounded by the band. And then the audience is on the other side of the stage. So there's a section in the middle of the stage that's cut out. You're still standing on the floor, you're not standing on the stage, but that's what they call the Snake Pit, and they have a limited access for that. So that's kind of cool for Metallica fans. Dedicated entrance, hang with members of the band backstage. So that's a big one, right? Professional photograph taken of you with the full band. Show specific autograph set list. Access to the sanitarium rubber room. So that's just what they're calling like their VIP rooms. Sometimes there's a separate room, especially in arenas, for their VIPs, and that will usually include drinks or food. So it looks like here it includes 2 drink tickets, it includes dinner, and experience the Memory Remains touring exhibit. So that's that Metallica museum that they have. It also includes a poster, a t-shirt, and priority merchandise shopping. So basically you get to shop at merch before doors open to the general public. So before you're waiting in line with dozens of people, you're first in line to buy merch. So it's kind of a cool experience. So this looks like this is their big one because it includes the picture and everything. And then they have the All Nightmare Long experience. Let's see what's different on here. You got the museum, you got the entrance, you got the poster, the shirt, right? So you don't have the meet and greet, you don't have the photo. And then this looks like the lowest package, which they call shortest straw. And what does that include? It's just a GA ticket and a poster and a limited edition merchandise gift. So you don't even get the early entry with this one. So yeah, that's just an example of how elaborate this can get. So most tours will just have one package. This one has 4 different levels of VIP, and then there are 4 different prices for each of the levels. When I did a show with Young the Giant recently, they had a let me see. So first started with a Q&A. That was package 1. Package 2 included an acoustic set, and everyone got the acoustic set that bought VIP. And then they had their higher package, which also included being able to stand on stage for 3 songs during their show. So it's all different ways you could do the VIP experience. And as you see, you can make a lot of money with this. And then last, let's go look into some revenue streams for venues and promoters. So the obvious, of course, ticket sales is a way they make money. The other one is ticket rebates. So I don't know if you've ever gone on Ticketmaster and bought a ticket. No, this will be a fun little thing to do. Let me go to Ticketmaster real quick. Master. Joyceline, if you're listening, you wanna pick a show that we might find on Ticketmaster that's on sale right now. Here we are on Ticketmaster. Let's just type into Fillmore, Miami. See what comes up. So Fillmore, Miami. Let's go to events. Let's check out these Madonna tickets. See tickets. All right. Let's go. Let me see. Move this chat over. So here's a $136 ticket, right? I want to see if this will break it down. So it's $136 each plus fees. So let me go through here as far as I can without having to put any information in. Oh, someone already bought the tickets. All right, let's try this one. Tyler is securing your verified tickets. Man, all right, well, that's example failed. Basically, you see it's a $136 ticket plus fees, right? So the annoying part is the whole plus fees thing. What are these fees? They call it a convenience fee, the convenience of buying it online and not having to go to the arena. And those fees they add on top sometimes are crazy, right? You might buy a $20 ticket and the fees are $10. So the fees are half of what the ticket price is. And what happens to these fees? So the fees go to the ticketing companies, but they also go back to the promoters. It's like a kickback to the promoter. So there's a $10 fee, maybe anywhere from $1 to $6 will go back to the promoter. That's how they make more money. So as you guys have like worked through some deals in Music Business 2 and on Module 1, if you did the math backwards and see how much money is left for the promoter, there's not really much left to pay for other expenses the promoter might have, right? So if it's like AEG and Live Nation and let's say they're a third party at the venue and they're sending a rep, there's expenses for the promoter rep, right? They're going to stay in a hotel. They're going to rent a car. They might have to get some meals. They might pay for tolls. So that stuff costs money to send a rep. So there's some expenses. If you own the venue, then there's a ton more expenses. There's salaried staff, there's electricity, all these other things. And if you did these deals backwards that you've worked on and looked at how much money was left over for the promoter or the venue, a lot of times that's not much to pay for other expenses. So, and then sometimes shows lose money on ticket sales. So promoters and venues are trying to figure out other ways they can make money. So again, just like the artists having multiple revenue streams, the promoters and venues want multiple revenue streams as well. For Live Nation, there's an interview I watched with Michael Rapino. He's the CEO of Live Nation. And ticket sales, the money they make from tickets actually only represents 2 to 3% of the money that Live Nation makes. They make most of their money from ticket rebates, so that kickback they get from the ticketing companies, merchandise and sponsorships, or any on-site activation. So that could be merchandise and concessions and so on. So let's keep going through the list. Then other rebates include like a venue rebate. So if you're a third party, especially if you're like a bigger company that's doing a lot of shows at a venue, so a venue that you don't own, but you're an outside promoter that works with that venue a lot, sometimes those venues can give you a rebate per ticket. So for every ticket you sell, the venue will give you $1 or $2 and so on, right? If it's an arena, they might give you $6 for every ticket that sells. So instead of doing a crazy quadratic formula and trying to figure out how much money you're going to get from alcohol sales and from merch sales and from parking and so on, they'll just do a venue rebate. So for every ticket that sells, you get a flat amount per ticket. Then other revenue streams are concessions. So that's your food and alcohol that you sell at shows. And those are all different ways that works too, right? Sometimes at a venue, the concession can just be like a rented vendor space. It could be a food truck, so rented vendor space, meaning an outside company comes in and they rent the space to sell food at the venue. And then that company pays a fee to the promoter or the venue. It could be a food truck and then they pay a fee to the venue, right? Or they can just do it in-house. So instead of having a third party, the venue just handles all their own concessions and alcohol. And a little more goes into that, right? There's some venues, for example, let's say you open a new venue and you can't afford a liquor license. You could hire an outside company that has a liquor license to run your bar for you. And that's like just one less thing you have to do. So just as we talked about with labels for artists, being a partner to the artist in previous classes, having like a concessionaire could be a partner. So every time you bring a partner on, of course, you're giving up money, so you're not keeping 100% of concessions, but also can take away a lot of workload for you as a promoter or a venue to have a concessions company. If it's a venue, it's maybe some clubs, most clubs run their own bars. Bigger venues will a lot of times have a third-party concessionaire, and then promoters, it's say Live Nation or AEG does a concert in a field or an open venue. They most of the times, I would say 95% of the times, will hire a third-party concessions company because they just don't have the staffing to do that kind of work, right? So it's easier to hire a concessions company that has the staff for that, and then they'll cut in the promoter. So usually they'll take their costs off the top, and then there's a percentage that they split with the promoters so they can make money on concessions. Other revenue streams include merchandise. So this could be venue-specific merchandise. It could be promoter-specific merchandise. Most venues have like their own shirts now. If the venues own the parking lot that's connected to the venue and you pay for parking, that's another revenue stream. Not as much in clubs or theaters, but this is obviously happens in arenas and stadiums a lot. So if you go to a Hard Rock Stadium, that entire parking lot that surrounds the stadium is owned by the Hard Rock. And then they make all that money. And then a lot of times they can cut in the promoter in getting a cut from the parking as well. We looked at facility fees in previous deals, right, where you deduct the facility fee. That facility fee goes back to the venue or sometimes gets split with the promoter as well. And then sponsorship is pretty straightforward. And yeah, those are the main revenue streams for artists and for promoters and venues. That's kind of like how they make money. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the Messina Group, where they kind of cut in their artists on other revenue streams. So any of these streams that Messina Group would make money on, they usually a lot of times will cut their artists in on those revenue streams as well. And that's how they can get away with having no risk, so not having guarantees, because their artists get cut in on everything. So anything they make as a promoter, the artist gets to participate in that as well. And that is it. That's in a nutshell, revenue streams for artists and promoters and venues. So as I mentioned for the quiz, we're going to look at promoter profit deals. So make sure to go check those out. I'll send some examples out so you guys can start practicing. And any questions for one person that's here? And anyone else that's watching the recording, if you have any questions or anything, send me a message on Canvas or email me. Wait another minute to see if there's any questions. And if not, then we'll sign out. Quiz will be available Monday. Will be due the following Sunday. What else is there? I think that's it. All right, well, thanks for joining live, and thank you all for watching the recording. If you want to make some extra credit, leave a comment on the video of the shows you saw this week. And if you want to get some additional extra credit, so we'll do 5 points for commenting on the shows you saw, and another 5 points for engaging with someone else's comment, so commenting on their post. But that's it for Module 2, for Module 2 lecture. Hope everyone has a really good weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon.